Michael Skelly is the founder and president of Clean Line Energy. He started the company to help bring about thousands of megawatts of new renewable energy. Prior to founding Clean Line, Mr. Skelly took Wind Energy from a two-man company to a national leader in U.S. wind industry. Mr. Skelly has developed thermal, hydroelectric, biomass, and wind energy projects in Central America, in Energia Global, and he is a board member of the American Wind Energy Association.
Great, thanks very much. It's an honor to be here. My mom would be very proud. I became a Democrat shortly after we moved here from Ireland when I was a small child, because my mom wanted to vote against Richard Nixon, and so we all became citizens.
Well, we're glad you made that decision.
Thank you. I'll tell her you said that. I'd like to talk a little bit about sort of the state of play in wind today, where we are and where we think we can get to, and some of the challenges that the industry faces as we tackle the challenges that have been outlined today. So to start with, the tax incentives that we've had in place for wind energy for roughly the last 20 years have paid off. Wind is now the cheapest source of new power in the United States. Costs have come down almost 2/3 in the last 6 or 7 years alone. And because wind power is so cheap, we're saving consumers billions of dollars a year. On the jobs front, there are about close to 100,000 people working in the wind industry today. Those numbers will continue to grow. In fact, the Labor Department says that today's fastest growing job description is wind turbine technician, and these are jobs that pay well. They almost always carry health benefits because it's a very competitive market, and companies work very hard to hang on to the wind techs that they train, and so it's a very fast growing field. Most of the wind projects that are built around the country are built in rural areas, and the wind turbines create an extra crop for farmers and ranchers. And it's happening. So we've talked about the different percentages that we can get to around the country. I live in Houston, Texas. On a good day in Texas, we get 40 to 50% of our electric power from wind energy. And other states have seen similar levels of penetration. Grid operators have now become accustomed to incorporating a variable resource like wind into the grid, and they're getting very good at it. In terms of environmental benefits, the wind projects that we have online today power the equivalent of roughly 20 million households, and that's like taking 28 million cars off the road. And then because of the stability that we've seen particularly over the last few years on the wind tax incentives, we've seen a lot of insourcing of manufacturing. There's almost 500 different manufacturing operations for wind in the U.S., and these are jobs that are and operations that are likely to stay here because wind turbines, as you all know, these are very large machines and very difficult to transport, so it's a real natural to make them right here in the U.S. In terms of our priorities and what we hope to see in years to come from the public policy side, we really have 4 priorities. One is a level playing field. So as over the next 4 years, tax incentives for wind will be reduced, and over that period of time, at the end of that period of time, we hope to see policies in place that would provide us with the same sorts of benefits that polluting sources of energy currently receive. Workable permits, and this is always a tough challenge for our industry because we're working on projects and we have to strike a balance between different interests, local social interests, environmental interests, etc. But we need processes that have effective timelines and that take into account all the variables. Transmission, that's what our company does. We are building transmission lines that go from the windy parts of the country to the coast. These are very complex projects that take a great deal of time, many years to put together, and a stable but effective permitting environment is absolutely the key to getting to the renewable energy goals that have been articulated today. And then finally, wholesale power markets. If we can create markets that effectively tap into the ability of wind and solar to compete in these markets, we will see a lot more electricity. In some of the areas in the country where we've seen the greatest penetration of new renewables, it's areas where you have wholesale markets that allow new entrants to participate. So thank you very much, and happy to take your questions.
Questions, Ms. Brown?
I think you're familiar with President Obama's clean power plant rule, which requires states to write plans to reduce measurable carbon reductions. What does that mean to your industry? Do you have any sense of, I mean, it's hard because each state is going to write a different plan, so we may not know yet, but do you have a sort of macro sense of what that may mean?
So broadly speaking, what that will get us is that will address the issue that I mentioned before. If we can have a level playing field so that we don't, we're producing electricity that does not pollute. If those folks who do pollute pay the cost of that pollution, then it will help us compete much more effectively, and therefore the phase out of the tax credits will actually work for the industry.
Thank you very much. Thank you.